Hello and welcome back to the discussion of, I don't know, movie magic. I guess that's what this is. This is my second time through The Fablemans. I'm a blind film critic and I watched this with audio description, so I've already reviewed this once, and guess what? The audio description didn't change. It's still good. So if you they didn't swap in some pirate or something in there going, "Arr, this be the scene where Sammy wanders around." Nothing like that happened. It was, if you're blind and visually impaired, the audio description is still great. I just reviewed it the first time. What I'm doing is, for Oscar week, I'm sort of reviewing my favorite films slash films that are in the Oscar mix. And this is very much one of them. The Fablemans is nominated for multiple awards this year, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Original Score, Best Original Screenplay. It did pretty well. And Best Supporting Actor. God, I can't keep forgetting Judd Hirsch. God forbid. And this, yeah. So it's up there in nominations. The question is, will it win any of them? I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know that this will win the awards. This could be a film that walks away with 0 Oscars. But I did rewatch it, and the question was, did I love it as much the second time around as I did the first time? And yes, I did. As a matter of fact, this is just like some of the other rewatches. So far, there's only been one film where I think the rewatch hasn't worked out in the way that I think the film would have liked me to have had it work out, because I saw the film sort of in a slightly different light the second time through. But this time, you just see the nuances more. Like, you know where the film is going, and you really start to see the character choices. It's almost like you're not waiting for the next thing to happen. That's why sometimes rewatching a film for a second time can really bring out a lot of just sort of little brilliant nuances and choices in the performance. You start listening to things before, like, you didn't really appreciate the score in certain parts, and I really did appreciate John Williams' score. I wasn't really listening for it the first time because John Williams, he writes a very complimentary score. It's almost, he likes these, he's known for sort of his bombastic scores to these really big, massive Star Wars films and other things like that. But he can also do this. He can also just come in and write sort of very quiet backing music to many of the moments and that are accompanied throughout the Fablemans, and really set the tone. It's sort of the opposite of Babylon. Justin Hurwitz's score in Babylon lets you know it's there all the time. You cannot ignore it. It's front and center. It really is like another character in the film. It just is. It's so, and if that's what you like, which I think a lot of people do for some reason, then go for it. I think he has a good score. I just think it's a bit much. But for this one, it's it's almost like you forget there is one because he's so good at it. Because John Williams is so good at writing a score that until you actually sit in the mood for a minute, you're like, wait a minute, what's happening? Oh my God. There's a really light, sort of airy score underneath this scene, capturing sort of the dramatic moment of it all. And the best moment, I think, where you can really sort of capture that is when Michelle Williams's character is sitting in the closet watching the movie that Sammy made for her. And in that moment, there's no dialogue. It's very quiet. And it's just her reaction and music. And the music is, it seems like it's melancholy and just absolutely perfect for that scene. I mean, it's just, It's exactly what needed to happen in that moment. And yeah, John Williams is just is a fantastic composer, and I would absolutely love to see him win the Academy Award this year. I think I actually appreciate the score more, which is actually the same thing that happened for me with Everything Everywhere All at Once the second time through. I did kind of notice the score a little bit more because I was listening for it. I did come through. I was like, oh, there is a score here. Ah, look at that. But I still think Banshees is a weird nomination. That was just another rewatch for me. But The Fablemans, it'd be great. It'd be great if this could be nominated. I don't think any of these scores are going to stand the test. We don't have a Star Wars in here. We don't have an Indiana Jones. We don't have a Back to the Future. There's nothing in here that people are going to be playing for the rest of their life anyway. But this did what it needed to do. So, and the performances in The Fablemans are incredible. I don't think I fully gave Gabriel LaBelle his due until the second run through of this. I was kind of like, he's just a kid. He's whatever. It's kind of a daunting task to have to be in a Steven Spielberg movie as your breakthrough performance, and to have to share the screen with such tremendous talent that he has playing opposite him throughout most of his scenes in the film. And Spielberg also tasked him with dealing with the anti-Semitism of the movie. I mean, basically, he's the only character that deals with anti-Semitism. We don't really see the parents deal with it. We don't really see his siblings deal with it. We really just see Sammy dealing with a lot of aggressive anti-Semitism from his classmates. And that is something that really Gabriel LaBelle navigates rather well, quite perfectly. As far as the cameo performance by Judd Hirsch, I still don't think it should be Oscar nominated. I think he did great. It's a great monologue. It's a great little monologue from Judd Hirsch. I like it. It's fine. But you know what? So is David Lynch as John Ford. That was great too. They both were. However, they're both like on screen for just mere minutes. But they're both impactful and they're both really good. And I don't know what else to say. It just doesn't feel like it's not. The weird thing is that while I think that there's something to be said for what Judd's uncle has to say to Sammy, I also think the film could have totally survived if he never had arrived. I think if we could have skipped it and moved on and gone on, which is the same thing I could say about David Lynch's character. I don't know that we needed to meet John Ford. It was great that we did. Both of those scenes were great that they did happen, but they didn't actually affect the narrative in a way that really made it feel like, oh, good, this is, Whereas some other characters like Paul Dano, like how would the film work without him? Like, where would the film go? Like, it would turn into a completely different film because then he would be a kid being raised by a single mother instead of co-parenting. And it turns into a completely different thing. And then there wouldn't be such a scandal about Benny because there wouldn't be a dad there. So it really morphs into a different film without Paul Dano. But without Judd Hirsch or David Lynch, I don't think this film changes at all. I don't think they're necessary supporting characters. I think they're nice little flourishes, sure, but I think it breaks my heart that Paul Dano lost out on that nomination instead of Judd Hirsch. He's so good in this. We talked so much about how Colin Farrell had such a great year because he went through all these roles. Well, Paul Dano started out the beginning of the year with his absolutely crazy commitment to his Riddler performance, which was just off the wall. And then wrapped it up with a very sort of controlled, a very mature performance in The Fablemans. And I'm reminded of the fact that Paul Dano is younger than I am, and here he is parenting a family of multiple kids and giving them advice and aging up as the film progresses. And he did a really good job here. I actually think he's younger than than his castmates that he shares the screen with most of the time, Seth Rogen and Michelle Williams. I think he's the youngest of that group, but he has to act like he's not. You know, that he's mature enough to be for that to make sense. It's a performance that got lost in this year, and it's very unfortunate. Seth Rogen is fine as Benny. I totally understand why Seth Rogen was cast in that role, as the sort of goofy schlub who, is very likable. He's just immensely likable. He just is. He's for a good time, and as I'm reviewing this, I've already announced, I already did my Best Supporting Actress list, and I already announced that Michelle Williams was my choice for Best Supporting Actress of the Year, and it's because her performance is so freaking good here. I still believe it's a supporting performance, even after watching The Fablemans the second time. I just think she doesn't have, if she has more screen time than Paul Dano, it's marginal, because there are scenes where it's just Sammy and his father, just like there are scenes where it's just Sammy and his mother. So I think maybe what you're getting is there's a little slight there at the end when they split up. But once the parents split up, there really isn't a whole lot of extra moments that he spends with his mom. It didn't increase Michelle Williams' screen time. There's not like a whole extra 15 minutes of the film devoted to Michelle and her single parenting. That's not what happens. It's just she's there for like a scene, and then guess what? Later on, Paul Dano's there for a scene too. So it just doesn't. It's they have like equal screen time. If not, it's within like minutes. It's, you're talking about somebody who's on screen, I don't know, like 30 minutes versus 28 minutes or something like that, whatever their screen time is, actual screen time in the film. And they're both good. They're both fantastic performers. And this is the year where I think Paul Dano really should have been recognized for coming into his own, and he wasn't. Instead, we recognized Judd Hirsch for being able to read monologues really good. So there you go. It's a good monologue. I love the film. I love The Fablemans. I think what Steven Spielberg did here is fantastic. I think it's funny because I love that he tried to do this in like I'm going to step out of myself and I'm going to call them the Fablemans. But so many people now just associate this with exactly his childhood. Like, this is the story of Steven Spielberg's childhood. So whatever fictionalized accounts he put in here to sort of twist and move the film around, I don't think that matters. I think people just are going to consider this to be his biopic, like his de facto biopic. So I hope he's happy with it. I hope he's happy with being associated with Sammy Fableman, because and it even maybe because it was making me think. There's that whole scene with Trent. I think it's Trent. I'm gonna go Trent. It felt like one of those names. At the end of the film, where Sammy jokes and he says, "Unless I make a movie about it one day," and Trent turns around and Sam goes, "Kidding," and I'm like, well, that happened so long ago, and then I was like, what if that really happened? What if Steven Spielberg really had that moment where he was really confronted by a bully and he really said that to him, and then lo and behold, in 2022, here comes the Fablemans. And maybe that bully, he may not even be around anymore, but he worked it in. He got that in the film. Yeah, this is it's a fantastic film. I'm really glad that I got a chance to watch it again. I don't really have any pacing issues with it. I don't really have any problems. I love that it doesn't treat you like you're stupid. Like characters show up and they age up, and it doesn't feel the need to constantly explain things to you. Like we don't go through some weird scene that explains the ages of all of Sammy's siblings and how much older he is than any of them. We don't have I kind of caught what I didn't even really fully understand at the time that it had happened, but that it was Paul Dano's mother that had shown up at the house and was there visiting, and his character's mother, and she, there isn't like a huge big scene about like, my mom's coming to town, we gotta get the house ready, you know. Like, I mean, like, I feel like so many other films would have like a montage about like cleaning the house, but that's not what the film is about. The film is about Sammy growing up, navigating his way through the world and finding his passion, and losing faith in it because his passion brought him pain, and then finding his way back to his passion. That is what The Fablemans is about. And that's why I don't believe Michelle Williams is the lead, because that doesn't really, it doesn't really keep her narrative. Her narrative is not the same, and it doesn't really fully flesh out her narrative. Her narrative never really finishes. She just kind of becomes a mother, and we never really know if she's okay. There's a hint that maybe she's probably something that nowadays we would medicate or diagnose, maybe something like bipolar. I don't know. Her character is struggling with a lot of things, and so for her to her character to not have any resolution and to not have a happy ending or anything like that is kind of indicative to me that the film was never made for her to be the lead. It's Sammy. Sammy's the one who goes on the journey, and then he sells his camera, and then he's got the camera under the bed, and then he's thinking about it, and there's this scene where he pulls it out and he kind of sleeps with the camera. And then finally he gets to shoot senior skip day, and he realizes, I missed this. You know, I'm really good at this, and look at what I'm able to do. He watches kind of the audience, and I think his, what he was able to do for Trent, I still think that's his name, I'm going with that. And what he was able to do for Trent is just what he can do for so many other people, and what Steven did for so many other people as he continued to direct films for the remainder of his year. I mean, think about probably how many people have been affected by Schindler's List just over the years. We're Saving Private Ryan, you know. I mean, like, deeply affected on a completely different level. Not just like, ooh, E.T.'s fun, but like actually like their life was changed by experiencing that film. So I think The Fablemans is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think this year is being taken over by Hot Dog Fingers, which is definitely fine. Like, it's fun and it's interesting and it's unique and it's new, and we are always looking for originality. But this is a great film. So I gave this film an A last time, and I'm sticking with it. It's still an A. I generally don't change grades on the second time around unless I seem to regret it and the film is not as watchable the second time around, or actually I realize, oh, I like this even better. This is actually one of my favorite films of all time right now. So yeah, The Fablemans is staying at an A for me. So let me know what you think about The Fablemans in the comments, and I will Continue reviewing films for Oscars week. Not all of them. Some of them are just my favorite films from the past year. I'm just giving them a second watch during this week. It's sort of like a celebration of film. And then the Oscars will happen. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I like to talk about films with audio description and remind people that blind people watch films. And I have a website, macmovieguyy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know about its audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. And they will let you know who's working on audio description for your favorite movies and television series. Also, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at macmovieguy. That's it for me today. I will review something else for you guys and see you on the other side.